nor the second, not even the third. Not till you crawl over here.
He has more videos than subscribers. He's one of the few on here without a PayPal. This isn't work. He's simply here to entertain. 11 years in a row. It's the Paul Michael DB Show. Welcome to PMDB hashtag 1615. I'm not showing my face in this video. It's not our audio video. I was rudely interrupted last night during what should have been my unofficial WrestleMania moment. Yes, I had a match, an unofficial WrestleMania 36 match last night. I got in on the act. I did my match with no audience like all the other WWE wrestlers were doing during the weekend. Unfortunately, there was a very bitter individual out there that interfered, stole my moment with a chessboard. And yeah, I'm not looking too pretty today. Anyways, I thought I'd give my thoughts on the official WrestleMania 36 matches that took place Saturday night and Sunday night. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross became the new women's tag team champions, defeating Asuka and her partner Miss Zayn. I think Alexa Bliss is an angel from heaven. She's beautiful, very talented. Nikki Cross, all women in this match bring something to the table, and all very talented in their own way. And I thought it was a decent start to WrestleMania. Now, what I will say, I had WrestleMania 36 on in the background, and I paid attention to some matches much more than others. I'm not a fan of today's wrestling era. I think overall it's terrible, and it's the worst it's ever been, in my opinion. But I will give credit when it's due. I haven't got an agenda here. I want wrestling to be great again. So bear in mind there is matches on this card that I didn't pay much attention to. Elias versus King Corbin was one of those matches. Couldn't care less about it. Moving straight on to Becky Lynch defeating Shayna Baszler. I'm not too familiar with some of these wrestlers. Forgive me, folks. I'm not too familiar with them. But I enjoyed this match. I thought it had a clever finish. I enjoy watching Becky Lynch wrestle. I think she is one of the best women wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers in general out there. I really do. A lot of the wrestlers today in today's roster, a lot of the women, in my opinion, outshine the men. I don't think much of today's men's roster at all. Here's a match I couldn't care less about coming up. Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan. I'm a fan of Daniel Bryan. I couldn't care less about Sami Zayn. This was a nothing match. I paid next to no attention to it. Then we had the stunt show. There's always a stunt show at these WrestleManias. The stunt show of this specific WrestleMania was John Morrison against Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston. I thought it was... It just doesn't impress me, these stunt shows anymore. Once you've seen one big move off the ladder, you've really seen them all. To me, are these type of matches good professional wrestling matches? In my opinion, no. They're stunt shows that look extremely choreographed and look like just no. There's nothing really genuine about these matches. There's no logic to them. There's no great storytelling to them. It's just a stunt show. Another match I didn't pay much attention to was Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. I mean, and I missed the spot of him jumping off the WrestleMania sign. I seen that later in a meme on Twitter. It looked pretty good. Apart from that, another match I couldn't care less about. Kevin Owens is not a star. I'm sorry, he's not a star. Braun Strowman defeated. Now, this is a match I did pay attention to because I'm a fan of Goldberg. Although I will say he's way past his prime and should not be champion in 2020. And I thought Braun Strowman squashing Goldberg, this was as good as a match with Goldberg past his prime as you could probably get. Now, one of the main event of night one was The Undertaker versus AJ Styles in the Boneyard match. It was the second best match of the entire WrestleMania card. I really enjoyed it, and it seems like I'm not alone on this. It was great to see The Undertaker and the way he was presented on the show. A lot of cool moments. I loved his when he was chatting with, giving some smack talk to AJ Styles, and AJ Styles he was great too in this match. But what proved to me in this match was that The Undertaker is without doubt a once in a lifetime performer and one of the very best, not just wrestlers, but very best performers, entertainers in general. He's been entertaining me for 28 years. I remember watching WrestleMania 8 when I was 4, and he basically buried Jake Roberts, and ever since then he's been a constant figure in my life, pretty much. So night 2 it opened up with Charlotte Flair winning the NXT title against Rhea Ripley, who nice hair, like her hair. I thought it was a decent match. I thought this was I would say this was better than the Becky Lynch match. And yeah, Charlotte Flair, one of the best women wrestlers out there, one of the best wrestlers in general. A match I had absolutely no interest in. I can't even remember who won. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. I'm looking at Wikipedia now, and apparently Aleister Black won. I paid no, and the same with Otis and Dolph Ziggler. Could not care less about either of these matches. A lot of these today's stars just do not draw me in. One match that went about 20 minutes too long was Edge versus Randy Orton. I've never been an Edge fan. I've never been a great big fan of Randy Orton. I prefer Randy Orton to Edge. Edge returning at the Royal Rumble this year did absolutely nothing of excitement for me. I don't get the whole Edge thing. I never will. And this match was boring. Minus a few spots at the gym. It was so. I mean, I wasn't even paying much attention to it. But like I say, I had WrestleMania 36 on in the background, and I was still bored just listening to this match. It went on too long. Then we had another match for the Raw Tag Team Champions. I literally know nobody in this match, so I'm not even going to comment on it. We then had the failed 5-way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley defeated Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. Very forgettable match, to be honest, but I do enjoy Sasha Banks and Bayley. I like their promos. They've got great chemistry together, and I do enjoy watching them wrestle. I'm going to go straight to the main event. Drew McIntyre defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship in the main event. Now some matches on this show could have done with an audience. This was one of them. I think Drew McIntyre getting this moment here against Brock Lesnar needed an audience. It wasn't quite the same without an audience, but some matches really worked much better without an audience. There was no BS like "this is awesome" chant, which is horrible. The silly what chant. There wasn't distractions in the front row of that guy with a green cap and green jumper on. He's always at the front row. I mean, spoiled or what to be in the front row of every single WWE show. I was kind of glad there wasn't a crowd this year. And I'm a big Brock Lesnar mark. Brock Lesnar, I think, is done. I can't see. I don't think there's a point for Brock Lesnar to return following this. I think I heard rumor that he was retiring following WrestleMania 36, and he's made a star of Drew McIntyre, who I recently found out is a Rangers fan. So we've got a Rangers fan. I love it. A Rangers fan is now WWE champion, and he was put over by the greatest wrestling star since the Attitude Era and one of the greatest of all time. He's up there with Hogan. He's up there with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's up there with The Undertaker and The Rock. Brock Lesnar is one of the all-time greats. I don't care what anybody says. He has elevated this business as much as the biggest names ever. He's a genuine star. He's an underrated performer, and he's one of my personal favorites. And he's in my top three. The match of the night, the match of the two nights, in my opinion, was The Fiend versus John Cena. I'll go on record and say this was one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. I loved it. I was intrigued by it. I was inspired by it. I was entertained by it. And I've never liked John Cena. This is coming from a person that nearly stopped watching wrestling because of John Cena. But in the last couple of years, like I've said, I don't know if it's because the rest of the new stars are so bad, most of them, that it makes John Cena look good. I don't know what it is, but I've sort of grown to like John Cena, and he was phenomenal in this match. Absolutely phenomenal. So my hat's off to John Cena. And Bray the Fiend Wyatt, wow. He is without doubt one of the best produced characters from wrestling ever. Fantastic. And like I say, I'll give credit where it's due. I think this is the worst period of wrestling ever. WrestleMania literally had no fans this year. I know there was a circumstance for that, but you know what? The couple of matches that really caught my attention was the Undertaker match with AJ Styles and the Fiend Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, and it makes me want to tune into WWE more because of those two matches. I thought particularly the Fiend match was outstanding and one of the greatest WrestleMania wrestling matches I've ever seen. That's what wrestling's all about. It told a fantastic story. It was entertaining. It was intriguing. I want to watch it twice. I want to watch it 3 times. So, and this is coming from a guy that was never a big fan of John Cena. He's proved me wrong in the last couple of years. I was wrong about him. He's one of the greatest ever. So, and I enjoyed this show much more than I did WrestleMania 35. I thought WrestleMania 35 was trash. It was a bore fest. And some matches on this card were much more intriguing and interesting and worked better without a crowd. So I think WrestleMania 36 delivered much more than WrestleMania 35 did. So that's overall, I'd give the show, because a couple of the matches were so good, I'm going to give this show a 7 out of 10. And The Fiend versus John Cena, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen. So that is my full in-depth thoughts on WrestleMania 36, Night 1 and Night 2.